So yung iba nako-confuse nga lang kasi dahil 'di ba nung una nating ginawa is from a Z-score. So kung minsan ginagamit nila itong naka-percentage na yan as the Z-score. So hindi po probability. So dun muna hahanapin sa 4 decimal places tapos itatrack natin kung ano yung specific value niya for let's say Z-score po. So yung letter C and D naman po, ang direction na ibinibigay dito is in terms of greater than. So again, hindi na natin pwedeng gamitin kunwari yung mga technique na kukunin natin yung negation and all. So hindi po applicable na yun in this case. So ang gagawin ninyo, pag kayo po ay naka-encounter ng greater than yung direction at hahanapin nyo yung Z-score, ito pong value ng probability na yan, ima-minus po natin sa 1. So after natin ma-minus sa 1, kung ano yung maging sagot, yun po yung dapat ninyong hanapin doon sa normal distribution. So let's solve this. Yung letter C, we have a probability of Z greater than C is equal to 0.5234. Ayan. So, illustrate muna natin para medyo maintindihan or kumbaga bakit ganun yung proseso na kailangan natin na gawin. So, remember diba that yung atin pong normal distribution table, ang kaya niyang i-project ay yung nasa less than na portion. So, kung ang probability na binigay ay more than 50%, so that means yung atin pong value lalampas doon sa ating mean. Kasi yung mean, dinidivide niya yung distribution typically doon sa kalahati. So, tig 50%. Kasi nga, symmetric ang isang normal distribution. So, pag greater than ang direction, pag probability na po yung pinag-uusapan, ang start po ng pag-iisip natin nung region, nag-start sa dun sa right-hand tail nung normal curve. So parang nandito yung value. 52% yan. So kung ito hanggang dun sa mean ay 50, so ibig sabihin, lalampas yung 52% dun sa value ng mean. So let's say nandito yung location. So ito naman po, yung second line natin, that will serve as the boundary po for the 52% or the Z-score that will describe 52.34% of the distribution. So, ito naman yung portion na sesadan natin. So, ang mangyayari, kung ang kabuuan ng isang normal distribution ay 1 at ang kaya natin, di ba, na ma-describe doon ay yung nasa left portion, kaya ang nagiging proseso, pag ganyan po, yung kabuuan yan in general na 1, ima-minus natin tong shaded part para ang malaman natin itong unshaded na region. Kasi kung mapapansin naman natin, di ba yung line na yan yung nag-divide dun sa unshaded at saka sa shaded region. So ibig sabihin, yung boundaries ng shaded and unshaded region are of the same value. So kaya pwede natin gamitin yung value ng 1 minus a certain probability that is to the right of certain Z-score. So ganito po yung magiging solution natin. So recall lang natin po doon sa rule number 2 na na-discuss natin last week. So if we're dealing with probability of Z greater than A, sabi natin that is equivalent to 1 minus P of Z less than A. So kung ito yung ating statement, so we have probability of Z greater than C, which is equivalent to 0.5234. So papalit lang natin yung equivalency nito by means of the rule. So yung probability of z greater than c is equivalent to 1 minus probability of z less than c is equivalent to 0.5234. So again, yung ginawa lang natin yung equivalency nung rule sa probability to the right of z. So ang wala tayong value pala dito yung less than. So pag transpose natin, ang probability bawal maging negative yung value. So kung isa-set aside or i-isolate natin yung P dito, may negative sign pa siya. So ang gawin natin, yun yung i-transpose natin. So kopyahin natin yung 1 minus yung value nito na transpose natin dun sa kabila. So this is minus 0.5234 is equivalent to probability of z less than c. So paki-evaluate 1 minus 0.5234, ano po ang sagot? Pakikuha po yung difference. Okay po, thank you. So, reflexive property lang ng real number yung ginamit natin. So, inuna natin yung unknown value. So, this is 0.4766. So, ngayon, instead of looking or finding the value of 0.5234, ang hahanapin nyo is the value of the z-score that correspond to a probability of 0.4766. So, check natin doon sa normal distribution table. So, pag yan ay less than 0.5 uli, negative side yung ating pagbabasehan. So, meron po ba tayo dyan na 0.4766?
Wala po.
Okay po dyan. Ano yung pinakamalapit na value sa 0.4766? So, ano yung closest value natin? Okay po. So, that is correct. So, ang gagawin natin na reference ay yung 0.4761. So, itatrack natin again, pag probability pa, punta muna tayo dun sa left side ng ating normal distribution, tapos po upward, para naman itrack dun sa first row ng normal distribution. So, yung 0.4761, katapat niya yung 0.0. So, now, yung nasa taas naman ay 0.6. So, take note, ang side na tinitingnan natin na nasa negative po. So, that means, ang value pala ng z-score ng 0.4761 ay, ano yung corresponding z-score niya? So, we have, di ba, 0.0 tapos 0.06 sa taas. So, yun po ay yung z or c yung ginamit nating symbol dito. So, that is equivalent, nasa negative side, 0.0, yung nasa left side, sa taas po ay 0.06. Kaya po ang value ay negative 0.06. Nasusundan po.
Yes po.
Okay po, thank you. And so, let's proceed po dun sa next example. Ayan, so yung letter D naman, we have probability of Z greater than C is equivalent to 0.3401. So, similar way po nung ginawa natin. So, this is the probability of Z greater than C is equivalent to 0.3410. So, gamitin na lang natin kasi meron na tayong transform formula, 'di ba? Sabi doon, ang missing daw dyan ay yung less than na probability. Kaya ang gagawin natin, i-minus natin yung 0.3410 dun sa total area, which is 1. So, ano po ang difference?
Zero point six five nine.
Okay po. So, we have 0.6590. So, check uli natin. Yung 0.6590, mas malaki na siya sa 0.5 na value. So, doon naman natin titingnan sa positive region ng ating normal distribution. 0.6590. Ano yung corresponding z-score ng 0.6590?
Wala po.
Okay, so walang exact value yung 0.6590. So, ano yung pinakamalapit sa 0.6590 dyan?
0.6591.
Okay. So, ano yung corresponding z-score ng 0.6591?
0.401.
Okay, that is correct. So, sulat na lang natin dito is C is equivalent to 0.41 na lang. So, kino-combine lang natin na kung 0.4 yung nandun sa left side, so katulad po ng, ayan, nakalagay dito. So, yan, 0.4. Tapos, yung nasa taas ay 0.1. So, idudugtong mo na lang po yung 1 dun sa value ng 0.4. So, let's say, ang nakuha yung value ay 67%. So, saan siya katapat? 0.4, tapos 0.04 sa taas. So, pag sinimplify nyo yun, magiging 0.44 po yung value. Ayan. So, clear po? Okay po. Proceed po tayo with letter E. So, sa E naman po, that is in between two values po. So, ang sabi dyan, yung probability daw po ng random variable Z, which is greater than negative 1.33 but is less than C, is equivalent to 40.83%. So, yung hinahanap natin dito is yung mas malaking value ng Z-score. So, ang i-apply natin for example E and F is rule number 3 po doon sa ating formula na binigay last week. So we can write that as probability of Z greater than negative 1.33 but less than C is equivalent. So yung 40.83 po gawin na natin na decimal na. So 0.4083. After that, recall ulit tayo ng rule number 3. So we have probability of Z greater than A sub 1 but less than A sub 2 is equivalent to probability of z less than a sub 2 minus probability of z less than a sub 1. Based dun sa ating rule, so instead of, talag muli natin. So, apply natin to. Pag bounded siya, so paghihiwalayin natin, i-consider muna natin yung larger value. So, in this case, yung a sub 1 natin ay negative 1.3. Yung a sub 2 natin, which is the larger value, will be denoted by c. So, we'll write this in terms of their equivalency. So, we have probability of z less than c. So, yun yung a sub 2 minus yung probability naman ng z less than negative 1.33 is equivalent to 0.4083. So ngayon, dahil meron tayong z-score na define yung z-score na negative 1.33. So before we evaluate po, hanapin muna ninyo kung ano yung probability ng negative 1.33. Ayan po. So, ano yung value sa z-score na negative 1.33?
Point 0918.
1.33 is 0.0918, correct. Substitute lang tayo. Probability of z less than c minus 0.0918 is equivalent to 0.4083. So, itatranspose naman natin to, ha. So, wait lang guys, ha. Meron lang akong kakausapin. Sa gitna. Ayan, so sorry for that po. Ayan, after that, simplify na natin. So we have probability of z less than c is equivalent to 0.4083. Tapos, from negative po, magiging positive yung value. So that is 0.0918. Then, paki-evaluate lang. 0.4083 plus 0.0918 is
0.5001.
okay, that is correct. So 0.05001. So ngayon, ito naman yung hanapin natin. So, probability po ini, yan ha, yung point 5, sorry. This is 0.5001. So, probability po yung value na yun. Check natin. Ano yung value na 0.5001?
Wala.
Ayan. So, wala din. Pero ang pinakamalapit na value ay 0.5,000. So, pag chinek natin, yung z-score ng 0.5,000 ay 0.0, tapos dun po sa taas ay 0.00. So, you can just simply write 0 po in terms of the z-score. So, dito po, ang ilalagay na natin, the z-score for the probability of 0.5001 is 0. Ayan. Questions? Wala. Okay. So, F naman po. So, ito naman, ang missing dito is yung A sub 1. So, we have probability of Z greater than C but less than 2.5 is equivalent to 0.0994. Zero point zero nine four. So, apply na lang natin. So, magsusubtract tayo, unahin natin yung value ng A sub 2, tapos ima-minus natin yung value ng A sub 1. So, this is probability of Z less than A sub 2, which is 2.5, minus probability of Z less than C. So, yun yung A sub 1 natin. So, this is 0.0994. So, hanapin ang value ng 2.5. So, ang 2.5 po ay ititreat natin as a z-score. So, ano yung value ng probability under 2.5? Anyone?
Point 9938.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Jenna?
0.9938 po.
Okay, that is correct. So, we have here 0.9938 na value. This is 0.9938 minus probability of Z less than C is equivalent to 0.0994. So, negative uli ito, transpose natin. So, apply muna natin yung 0.9938. Then, ito, transpose natin kasi pagsasamahin natin sila. That is 0. So, from positive, magiging negative. So, minus 0.0994 is equal to positive probability of Z less than C. So, paki-subtract ano yung difference ng 0.9938 at saka po 0.0994.
0.8944.
8944 ba?
Oo, ma'am. 8944.
Ayan po. Then, yan yung hanapin natin na probability po. Ayan. So, find this probability. So, ito yung tatranspose. A reflexive property lang yan. So, pagpapalitin lang natin yung position. So, ito, yung sagot natin na difference is 0.8944. Tapos, lagay natin dito yung expression. So, that is yung unknown value po. So, probability of Z less than C. Yung 0.8944 ay anong Z-score? Exact, exact yata yan, yung 0.8944.
0.5 po, ma'am. Z, 0.5.
Z 0.5 lang ba? Ito yung 8944, right?
Ano po, Z 1.2. Tapos po nasa 0.5 po siya.
Okay po. So, 1.2 tapos 0.5. So, pagsasamahin nyo yun ha. So, yung total ng value na yun will be 1.25. Pinagdudugtong natin na yung nasa left side at saka yung upper value po. So, yung, 'di ba, ang nakikita nyo, yung 1.2, tapos sa taas ay 0.05. So, parang ganyan po. So, i-combine mo. Kaya po naging 1.25 yung value. Clear po?
Clear po, ma'am.
Ah. So, any question po dun sa reverse process, yung from probability to z-score? Ayun. So, I think malinaw naman. So, let's proceed po doon sa aspeto naman na raw score yung ginagamit natin. So, ibig sabihin dito, may definite actual observation tayo or assumed value for an observation na tinitreat. So, parang nabanggit ko nga kanina, na pag ganun yung na-encounter natin, hindi po tayo kaagad pwedeng makapag-measure ng probability just in terms of the raw score. So, ang ginagawa natin sa raw score ay tinatransform siya into z-score. Tapos, kung ano yung nakuhang z-score, yun yung magiging basis natin to solve or to identify the corresponding probability po. So, importante din dito that you're able to identify what is the given direction, kung yan ba ay less than, greater than, or between value. So, we have this following illustration. So, for example 3, suppose that the weights of all rats housed in a vivarium are normally distributed with mean of 300 and standard deviation of 20 grams. So, what is the percentile ranks of a rat weighing 340 grams? So, dito, yung mga known information natin, ayan, naka-identify naman yung mean at standard deviation. So, ito pong 340 grams na yan, iti-treat natin yan as the raw score. Then, alamin natin kung ano yung specify dun sa direction. So, dito, ang hinahanap lang naman ay percentile rank nung 340 grams na weight. So, ito pong implication ng percentile rank yung atin pong gagamitin. So, nung tayo ay nag-discuss ng konsepto ng other measures of location, di ba pinag-aralan natin si quartile, si decile, at saka si percentile. So, doon po sa aspeto na yon, kailangan po nating maipakita kung ano yung distribution or ano yung mga values sa baba nung certain defined percentile ranking na ina-identify natin. So, mas mababa lagi siya. So, kaya pala, pag kinukuha natin yung probability at ang pinahanap sa inyo ay percentile rank, similar po siya dun sa context ng less than. So, kung sasagutan po natin, ito, we have this. So, yung ating pong illustration will be like this. Kasi yung mean niya ay 300. So, pag raw score po, kung ano yung mean na raw score, yun yung nakalagay sa center. Hindi na zero yung value niya. Tapos, ilolocate natin dito yung 340 grams. So, nasa kanan po yan kasi mas malaki yung value ng 340 compared to 300. Tapos, ma'am, ano pong sasaydan na portion? Yan po ba ay pagitan lang ng 300 to 340? Sa left ba siya ng 340 or sa right ng 340? So, again, percentile rank describe below certain percentage of the distribution. So, kaliwa po ng 340 yung atin pong kailangan na i-consider. So, after nyo na makakreate ng illustration, we'll proceed po for the transformation of the raw score into z-score. So, pag tinatransform na po natin, ang gagamitin nating formula will be x minus mu over sigma, or z-score is equivalent to the raw score minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So, again, our raw score is 340 minus the mean of 300 all over the standard deviation of 20. So, we have 340 minus 300 is 40 over 20. So, yung z-score po natin ay equivalent sa 2. So, ngayon po, ito yung ating magiging reference doon sa pagkuha ng probability. So, by the way po, itong percentile rank of a rat weighing 340 grams can be written as this. So, that is probability of x. So, random variable kasi yung ginamit natin na raw score, kaya x po yung symbol na ginagamit, is equivalent to 340. Pero, pag transform mo na yung raw score into z-score, you write that as probability of z equivalent to 2. So, since 2 na yung value, ano po yung corresponding probability dun sa portion ng 2? Or that is 2.00. So, what is the corresponding probability for 2.00?
0.9772, ma'am.
Okay po, that is correct. So, you have to use 0.977. So, basta whole number lang yan, automatically, yung kasunod yung portion doon ay 0.00 lang. So, 0.9772. So, ito ay probability, ang hinahanap ay percentile rank. Kaya po ang gagawin natin dito ay i-multiply itong value na to by 100. So, 0.9772 times 100. Tapos, kung ano yung final answer natin, yung evaluated value, yun po ay i-round off natin to nearest whole number. So, this is 97.72 or approximately 98 percentile. So, around 98% of the distribution is lower than the weight of 340 grams. Yun yung implication no percentile rank po na yun. So, clear po?
Opo.
Okay, thank you. So, example 4. The scores on a nationwide mathematics aptitude exam are normally distributed with mean of 80 and standard deviation of 12. So, what is the percentile rank of a score of 84? So, again, yung atin pong mean ay 80. So, nasa middle sa. Locate natin si 84. So, yun po ay makikita natin sa kanan na parte ng ating normal distribution or kanan ng 80, I mean. Then, convert uli natin. So, we have here 84 minus 80 divided by 12. So, that is 4 over 12, which is also equivalent to 0.33. So, pag ganyan, non-terminating decimal po ito. Pag dinivide nyo, 0.33333 lang yung lalabas na mga value. So, pag raw score to z-score po, 2 decimal values lang po lagi yung ating dapat na i-consider. So, we write this as probability of x equivalent to 84 is also equivalent to probability of z equal to 0.33. So, hanapin po doon sa normal distribution table ang value ng 0.33. So, z-score po na 0.33. Okay po. That is correct. 0.6290. So, 0.303. So, ito po. Tapos, ganun din, percentile rank siya. So, multiply by 100. Tapos, round off. So, ano po yung percentile rank ng score na 84 base dun sa probability na nakuha natin?
63% po. Bale, 62.93%.
Okay po. So, we have 62.93% or 63%, or we can say that the percentile rank is located at the 63rd position of the distribution or of the value. So this one, the scores on a nationwide mathematics aptitude exam have a mean of 80 and standard deviation of 12. So what percentage of aptitude scores are below a score of 66? So kung pagbabasihan natin yung illustration, yung middle portion uli ay 80, yung nandoon po sa left side niya ay 66. At dahil ang naka-indicate naman dito na direction ay below, so wala pa ring pinagkaiba doon sa dalawang nauna nating kinukuhang value. So less than pa rin po yung portion na ipapakita or ida-determine natin. So this is 66 minus 80 divided by 12. So 66 minus 80 is negative 14 over 12. So pag dinivide po natin yan, ang makukuha yung value ay negative 1.16666 na value po. Since 2 decimal places lang yung i-consider, so mag-round off po tayo. So ang makukuha na natin or ma-identify natin value ng z-score ay negative 1.17. So we have here probability of x less than 66. So bakit less than na siya? Kasi below na in direction. So that is also equivalent to probability of z less than negative 1.17. So paki-check po uli sa normal distribution table. Ano yung value ng negative 1.17? Okay, thank you. So, 0.1210 yung value. So we have now probability of z less than negative 1.17 is equivalent to 0.1210. So percentage yung hahanapin. So multiply the value by 100%. So this is 0.1210 times 100% is equivalent to 12.10%. So kung minsan may mga parang pahabol pag question yung mga ganyan. So let's say na-compute nyo na merong 12.10 or approximately 12% na sa distribution po yung makakakuha ng mas mababang score sa 66. So parang let's say ang naging tanong naman is kung merong 1,000, kung merong 1,000 na test takers po, gaano karami po dun sa 1,000 na yun ang pwedeng makakuha ng mas mababa sa 66. So ano yung gagawin natin? Yung binigay pong bilang ng mga test takers or yung sample size na tinatawag natin dati. I-multiply lang po natin yun dun sa probability na nakuha natin. So, kung meron tayong value na 0.1210 times dun sa bilang ng participants, sa bilang ng respondents, so times 1,000, so meron po tayong 121 na possible test takers po na makakuha ng mas mababa sa score na 66. So, kumisan ganun ginagamit yung mga probability po. Ayan. So, try natin pong sagutan to. So, a soda machine dispenses soda into 12 ounce cups. So, tests show that the actual amount of soda dispensed is normally distributed with a mean of 11.5 ounce and a standard deviation of 0.2 ounce. So, we have your 3 questions. Number 1 is, what percent of cups will receive less than 11.25 ounce? For B is, what percent of cups will receive between 11.2 and 11.55? And for C is, if a cup is filled at random, what is the probability that the machine will overflow the cup? So, consider muna natin yung problem A po. So, less than 11.2 ounce of soda. So, ang ating pong mga known information are the mean of 11.5 and a standard deviation of 0.2. Tapos yung required po sa atin na ma-identify ay percent po ng mga cups na makaka-receive ng less than 11.25 ounce. So, ito po ang ating illustration. So, makikita nyo, mas maliit yung value ng 11.25 kaya nasa kaliwa siya nung mean. Tapos, less than naman yung direction, kaliwa pa rin portion. Nung 11.25 naman po yung ating kailangang i-identify. So, convert po uli natin to into z-score. So, we have 11.25 minus 11.5 divided by the standard deviation of 0.2. So, the difference of the numerator will result to negative 0.25 over 0.2. So, that is negative 1.25. So, again, hindi nag-stop dyan kasi ang hinahanap ay percent. So, ang gagawin natin, tingnan na sa table yung value ng negative 1.25 kasi less than naman po yung ating direction. So, paki-check muna. Ayan po. So, we have probability of x less than 11.25 is equivalent to probability of z less than negative 1.25. So, i-check po natin sa normal distribution ang value ng negative 1.25. Anong value po? Okay po, correct. So, we have 0.1056 times 100%. So, that is 10.56%. So, ito po yun na negative 1.2 tapos 0.5. So, pangatlo, ayun po, 0.1056 yung value. So, what percent of cups will receive between 11.2 and 11.55 ounce of soda? So, since we have here the aspect that a certain region will be bounded by 2 z-score po, that means you have to find 2 z-score as well. And 2 forms of or 2 values po ng probability. Yan. So, we have here this illustration. So, yung 11.2 nasa kaliwa, yung 11.55 ay kanan ng value. At ang atin pong portion na kailangang i-classify is yung nasa middle ng 11.2 at 11.55. So, pagko-convert po natin, ang common mistake po na nangyayari is dahil diba doon sa aspeto ng rule number 3, kailangan nating i-subtract yung mga value. So, ang ginagawa ng iba, doon pa lang po sa raw score or sa z-score, mina-minus na nila. So, hindi po ganon. So, pag may dalawang raw score kayong given, kasi between or middle yung function na ipina-identify po sa inyo, so ang kailangan nyo pong gawin doon ay i-convert yung tig-isa na raw score na yun. So that means it will result to 2 z-score, 2 probability. So pagkat na-identify mo na yung dalawang probability, dun pa lang po kayo mag-subtract ng mga values po. Then, so now we have here, if x is equivalent to 11.2, then 11.2 minus 11.5 divided by 0.2, so that is negative 0.3 over 0.2 po is negative 1.5. So pag ang kinonsider mo naman ay yung isang raw score pa, which is 11.55, so that is 11.55 minus 11.5 over 0.2, so that is 0.05 over 0.2, kaya po ang resulting value nito ay 0.025. Ayan po. So, ibig sabihin, yung bound ng 11.2 to 11.55 ay pwede nating i-consider as the bonds between 1.5, and positive 0.25. So, kaya po ganito na yung ating illustration. So, we have your probability of z greater than 1.5 but less than 0.25. So, applying rule number 3, unahin muna natin yung a sub 2. So, probability of z less than 0.25 minus probability of z less than 1.5. So, yan po, pag chinek natin doon sa normal distribution table po. So, yung value po nila is 0.25. Kung bakit naging 0.59 yun. 0.025. Ito po. 25. Ayan po. We have 0.5987. Tapos yung negative 1.5 naman po ay this one. 0.0668. Ayan po. Kaya nung kinuha natin yung difference, we have a value of 0.5319. So, ang hinahanap pa rin po ay percentage. Kaya po, i-multiply natin by 100% at ang atin po magiging final answer is 53.19%. So, this one, if a cup is filled at random, what is the probability that the machine will overflow the cup? So, balikan natin yung main objective po or main description ng problem. So, paano kaya natin ma-identify na mag-overflow siya? So, yung characteristic saan, yung machine daw kaya mag-dispense ng soda doon po sa 12 ounce cup. So, paano natin to ita-translate? Probability that the machine will overflow the cup. So, kung 12 ounce cup yung ginagamit po, ibig sabihin, para mag-overflow siya, kailangan more than 12 or more than dun sa capacity ng cup na ginagamit nila yung ma-fill ng machine. So, that is more than 12 ounce po. Kaya, yung atin pong magiging solution will be this. So, 12 ounce yung ating capacity ng cup. Tapos, ang sashadan po natin portion, kasi nag-o-overflow, may natatapon. So, greater than 12. So that will be represented by z-score in terms of this. So 12 minus 11.5. So that is 0.5 divided by 2. So we have a value of 2.5. So now, once we translate this into mathematical equation, so we have to consider probability of x greater than 12 is equivalent to probability of z greater than 2.5. Then, dahil yan ay greater than, apply natin yung rule number 2. So, pwede natin siyang i-express as 1 minus probability of z less than 2.5 na value. So, i-check po natin yung normal distribution table kung ano yung corresponding probability po for z-score of 2.5. So, yung value ng 2.5 po ay 0.9938. So, we have 1 minus 0.9938 is equivalent to 0.0062. So, that will serve as your final answer since ang hinahanap lang naman is the probability. So, try naman, ito, yung konsepto naman na i-reverse natin yung process. So, find the raw score given the area or the cut-off scores. So, a cut-off score is a score that separates the data into two groups such that the data in one group satisfies a certain requirement and the data in the other group do not satisfy the requirement. So, to solve for this, we have x is equivalent to the standard deviation times the standard score plus the mean, or raw score or cutoff score is equivalent to this values po. So, ang usual na nangyayari po dyan, ang ibinibigay na mismo is the probability. You have to first find the corresponding z-score for that specific probability. So, for example 7, what is the score that divides the distribution such that 99% of the area is below it with a mean of 80 and a standard deviation of 12? So, ayan na po yung mga given, nakaspecify naman. Tapos, ang i-consider po natin in terms of the probability is this portion of the statement. So, 99% of the area is below 8. So, kaya po, ang ating magiging solution is that yung probability ng kasi ang una nating hahanapin dito after you convert po the percentage into decimal is the probability or the z-score po. Kaya, probability of z less than c is equivalent to 0.99. So, yan dahil po yan ay probability, dito po tayo mag-check. So, 4 decimal places na value. So, yung 0.99 po, ang equivalent niyang z-score ay 2.33. So, ito yung pinakamalapit na value, that is 0.9901. So, after you identify the z-score, that's the time that you have to substitute this value and the mean and standard deviation to the formula of raw score. So, we have x is equivalent to sigma times z plus mu. So, this is 12 times 2.33 plus 80. So, 12 times 2.33 is 27.96 plus 80. So, that is 107.96 or approximately 108. So, clear po dito.
Yes po.
Okay. So, another one is, ito naman, similar distribution po yung pinanggalingan na. So, we still have to consider a mean of 80 and a standard deviation of 12. But in terms of the region or probability that we have to evaluate po. So, ang naka-define dito is bound the middle 95%. So, nasa gitna. Try natin tong i-illustrate. So, let's say, yan yung ating normal distribution. Dinivide natin sa 2. So, yung isang portion, diba, pag dinivide natin sa exactly half of the distribution, automatically, each part po, I think 50%. So, dahil nasa gitna yan, ang assumption natin, meron tayong dalawang value na mako-consider. So, x sub 1 and x sub 2. Itong portion na to yung 95%. Ayan po. So, pag middle, medyo mahirap pong i-identify itong nasa gitna. So, gagamitin natin yung other aspect or other properties po na meron saan. So, kung, diba kanina nabanggit ko na dun sa cut-off scores, merong mga area na or may mga values na nagsasatisfy sa condition, meron din namang mga values na hindi magsasatisfy dun sa condition. So dito, ang gagawin natin yung reverse concept noon. Kung mapapansin ninyo, itong portion na hindi natin sinaydan sa kaliwa, pag tiningnan natin yung boundary niya, doon sa shaded portion naman, so iisa lang yung value nun. Tama? So, ang gagawin na lang pala natin ay alamin kung ano yung size po ng unshaded region dun sa kaliwang side ng distribution. So, kung 95% po ay nasa gitna, ilang percentage ang hindi natin na-consider or hindi natin sinaydan base sa property ng normal distribution? Ilan po? Ilang percentage yung hindi kasama sa shaded part?
5% po.
Okay po, correct. So, yun po ay 5%. So, ibig sabihin yan, ito pong nasa left side at saka dun sa right side, so after x sub 2, pag pinag-combine po natin yan, ang katumbas daw po noon ay 5%. Kaso nga lang, dalawang region siya, so di-divide pa rin natin by 2. So, etong portion ng x sub 1, gaano yan kalaki?
2.5.
Okay. So, we have here 2.5%. So, yung green po na shaded part is yung 95%. So, yung x sub 2, ganun din na kung ano yung size ng x sub 1. So, 2.5% din yun. Ngayon, mas madaling i-consider to. Yung x sub 1, ang i-consider niya, yung 2.5%. So, tingnan natin sa normal distribution po, yung 2.5 or 2.5%. So, i-convert na natin to into decimal. So, ang 2.5% ay equivalent sa 0.025. So, check po natin doon sa ating normal distribution. Probability yan ha, yung sinoff natin, probability po. So, pakicheck ano yung corresponding z-score for 0.025 na value.
Ma'am, ano po ulit?
0.025 po.
1.96 po.
1.96. Negative 1.96 po. Ayan. So, it implies na yung atin pong isang value ay ayan, negative 1.96 yung i-consider natin. So, ngayon, yung C sub 2 naman or yung X sub 2 na value naman po. So, sa X sub 2, itong portion siya. Ha? So, kung titingnan natin, yung 2.5% na to ay greater than. Alam natin na yung normal table, walang greater than na value. So, instead na i-check natin yung 2.5, yung kaliwa na lang ng X sub 2. Kasi ganun din naman, iisa lang din naman yung value na nagde-divide doon sa nasa kaliwang portion at sa kanang portion ng X sub 2. So, ano yung totality po ng region sa kaliwa ng X sub 2? Ilan yung total percentage niyan? Yung green, 95% daw. Tapos yung X sub 1 may 2.5%.
97.5%.
Okay po, correct. So we have 97.5%. So for this part, ito, 97.5%. Or lagay na lang natin in decimal, that is 0.975. So hanapin natin dun sa normal curve, yung value ng 0.975 po. Okay po, correct. So, yung ating value ng X sub 2 ay positive 1.96. So, pag ganyan po, nakakita na kayo na ang portion ay nasa pagitan, between, or middle, certain value. Kahit po isa lang muna yung ma-identify nyo. So, kahit mag-consider lang kayo ng X sub 1, negative 1.96. Tapos, para malaman nyo yung C sub 2, pwedeng hindi nyo na i-consider yung percentage na i-add pa ako na 0.975. Ang gagawin mo na lang pala doon, i-negate yung unang value na nakuha mo. So, kung negative 1.96, kinuha mo yung negation ng value na yon, so magiging positive 1.96 sila. So, pag in-apply rin naman natin sa table, yun din naman yung magiging value po. Ayan. So, clear po tayo doon sa pag-identify ng mga corresponding z-score po pag between or bounded po yung region. Okay po. So, solve na natin kung ano yung corresponding raw score ng kada z-score na yan. So, again, we have to consider z-score of negative 1.96. So, for the first raw score, we have a standard deviation of 12 times the z-score of negative 1.96 plus 80. So, that is 23 or negative 23.52 plus 80. So, pag pinag-add po natin yan, it will result to a value of 56.48. Kaya po yung raw score natin ay 56. So, yung sumunod naman, pag positive naman po yung z-score. So, sa positive z-score, we have 1.96. So, ito po ay 12 times 1.96 plus 80. We have 23.52 plus 80. So, it will generate a sum of 103.52 or approximately 104. So, that means the scores that bound the middle 95% of the distribution range from 56 to 104 na value po or na score. So last example, a professor finds that the grades in a large class are normally distributed with mean of 64 and standard deviation of 10. So if the professor decides to give an A grade to the students in the top 8% of the class, what is the cut-off score for an A? So parang ang basis dito, ano yung magiging parang pinakamababang value po ng grade na makukuha po ng isang estudyante para mapabilang siya doon sa top 8% ng klase nila. So, tandaan lang natin dyan yung mean 64, ang standard deviation po ay 10, at ang percentage ay top 8%. Given we have mean of 80, mean of 64, standard deviation of 10. And ang kailangan nating hanapin ay top 8% of the class. So, pag top 8%, diba, or top 10%, yun yung usual na alam natin. So, yan diba ay mga estudyante na pinakamatataas yung grade dun sa klase. So, ibig sabihin po, ang hahanapin muna natin dito is yung probability of Z greater than C, which is equivalent to 8% or 0.08. So, by the rule po, pag given yung greater than, ang hahanapin natin ay less than na value nito, tapos ima-minus na lang po natin yung probability na given dun sa 1. So, we have 1 minus 0.08. So, this is 0.92. Ito yung i-check natin dun sa table. Ano yung value ng 0.92? Yun ay probability ha. So, ano yung corresponding z-score ng probability na 0.92? Kindly check po. So, wala rin yatang exact dyan na 0.92. Ang pinakamalapit natin pwedeng pagpilian is 0.9192 and 0.9207. So, pag kinuha natin yung difference nito, nung 0.9192, 8 yung difference, sa 0.9207, 7 po. So, kaya yung 0.9207 yung magiging basis natin. So, that is 1.401. So, yung atin pong corresponding z-score for this is positive 1.41. Then, to determine again the raw score, so sigma times z plus the mean. That is standard deviation of 10 times a sigma of 14.1 plus the mean of 64. So 10 times 14.1 is 1.41. So that is 14.1 plus 64. So 14.1 plus 64 is 78.1, or approximately 78. So for a student to receive or to be part of the top 8% of the class, so he or she must get a grade of higher than 78. Ayan. So that's all po for today's discussion. So, I mean, this will be the last discussion for the semester. So any question or clarification po with this topic,